Hey guys, my name is Anne and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to crochet this beautiful sweater. I'll be making a small here, but sizes X small to 3X large are included in this tutorial and also in the written pattern that I have linked down below. But here are all of the supplies you're going to be needing for this project. So getting started on this pattern, the first thing we're going to do here is that we're going to make our two body pieces. These are going to be exactly the same as you guys can see. And so to work up these two pieces, I have my 5.5mm hook, and this is my category for yarn. The first thing that we're going to do is just make a slip knot, and you can do this any way you would like. After you have made this slip knot, we're now going to be making a chain of 6. So this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. So once you have your chain of 6, we're going to begin on row 1. For row 1, we are going to skip this first chain and insert our hook into the second chain. We will work half double crochet slip stitches. To work a half double crochet slip stitch, you just want to yarn over, then just insert your hook into that second chain, yarn over, pull through, and then just keep on pulling through these last 2 loops. And that is going to be our half double crochet slip stitch. Doing this again, you want to do this into every single chain. We're going to yarn over, insert our hook into that next chain, and then just yarn over, and then just pull through all 3 loops, yarn over, insert your hook into the next chain, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, yarn over, insert your hook, pull through all 3. And so now that you have 1 chain at the end of your row, we're now going to be doing our very first increase. To do an increase, we're just going to be working 2 half double crochet slip stitches into that same chain. So to do that, I'm just going to work 1 half double crochet. And then now into the same chain, we're going to work another half double crochet slip stitch. So just into the same loop right here. Just like this. So you should have worked 2 stitches into that last chain. Now I'm just going to yarn over and then just make a chain. So moving on to row 2. So now moving on to row 2, we are going to do another increase. So we're going to skip our first turning chain and insert our hook into the first stitch. We will work 2 back bar half double crochet slip stitches. To work a back bar half double crochet slip stitch, we're going to yarn over. Now instead of inserting our hook into both of those loops as you normally would, we're only going to insert our hook into the back loop or the back bar of the stitch. And then do the same thing, yarn over and pull through all 3 of those loops. And since we're doing an increase, I'm going to go back inside that same loop. So I'm just going to yarn over, insert my hook, and then just complete this increase. And now from here, you just want to continue on working these back bar half double crochet slip stitches all the way down your row. And I'm almost at the end. Just like this. Now I'm just going to go ahead, chain 1 and turn my work. So now we're going to be moving on to row 3. And beginning into this first stitch, we are going to do the same thing. We're going to work back bar half double crochet slip stitches. And you want to do that until you have 1 stitch at the end remaining. Into that last stitch, I'm going to show you guys how to increase once again. So I'm just going to work all the way down my row until I have 1 stitch, and I'm almost there. And then once you have this 1 stitch at the end of your row, we're going to do another increase. So I'm going to insert my hook and then just do another stitch into that same loop. Just like this, chain 1 and turn your work. So as you can see, we have been increasing on this side while the other side stays a nice clean straight edge. And so to continue this pattern, You just want to repeat those last 2 rows with our increases, and you want to do that until you have 13 rows in total. So I'm just going to work up my 13 increase rows, and then I'm going to see you guys back once I am all done. So I have made it back here with my 13 rows of increases. So far everything is looking just perfect, and I can just match it up to my other bodice, which I have already completed. So now that you have finished your 13 rows in total, from here is going to be very easy. We're just going to work regular rows with no increases of those back bar half double crochet slip stitches. And again, you want to do that until you have 24 rows in total. So if I place this right here, what those normal rows are going to do is going to stretch all the way across our chest. And then once we're done with that, I'm going to show you guys how to do those decreases. But for now, I'm just going to work up 24 rows going all the way across here, and then I'm going to see you guys back once I am all done. And so I just finished up working those 2 regular rows without any increases. So again, if you were making the full length sweater, you would go all the way across here with 24 rows, but I'm just going to show you guys a sample. So once you have finished up working your 24 rows, we're now going to move on to working these decreases coming all the way down. It is basically going to be the same thing as our 13 increases, but instead we're going to do 13 decreases every single row. To show you how we're going to be doing those decreases, I'm going to zoom in here. And then just beginning on row 1, into this first stitch, we're going to do a back bar half double crochet decrease. So I'm just going to yarn over. Then I'm going to insert my hook into that back loop, pull up a loop. Then I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook into that next stitch, pull up a loop. And then you just want to continue on to pull through all 4 of those loops, and that is going to be your decrease. From here, you just want to continue on working regular back bar or back loop, half double crochet slip stitches until the end of your row. Once I reach the end, I'm just going to chain and then turn my work. Moving on to row 2 of our decreases, we're going to back bar or back loop half double crochet slip stitch into each stitch all the way down our row until you have 2 stitches at the end of your row remaining. Into those last 2 stitches, I'm going to show you guys how to do another decrease. And so I now have 2 stitches at the end of my row. To do a back bar half double crochet decrease, I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook, pull up a loop, yarn over again, insert my hook into that next stitch, pull up a loop, and then you just want to continue on pulling through all 4 of those loops, chain, turn your work, just like this. So once again, to continue this pattern, you want to repeat those last 2 decrease rows until you have 13 rows in total. So it's going to come all the way down here. I'm just going to quickly work up my 13 decrease rows, so I have 11 more to do. And then I'm going to see you guys back once I am all done with my work. So I have made a back here with my 13 decrease rows coming all the way down, and it does fit with what I did previously. So once you have finished both of your bodices, once you reach that last row, you do just want to normally cut and fasten off. And you do want to make 2 of these, which I have already done here. And once you have both of your main front and back panels all done, the next thing we're going to do, we're just going to seam together these little 2 sides, which is really easy. So over here I have my large tapestry needle, and I'm just going to weave it through just like this. And now to seam these 2 panels together, I'm just going to whip stitch all the way across. So I'm going to insert my hook into the back loops, then just pull through into the back loops, pull it through, and then just do this into these 5 stitches. And then I just finished up seaming this little section of our sweater. I'm just going to quickly do the opposite side as well, and then I'm going to see you guys back once I am all done. So I have made a back here, and I just finished up seaming up both of my little sides, as you guys can see. And now that we're all done with our main body section, we're now going to move on to working the sleeves over here. So now let's go ahead and get started on that. So now we're going to begin working on the sleeves. I have my 5.5mm hook, and I'm just going to go ahead and make a slip knot. After this slip knot, you can go ahead and insert your hook into the seam of your work. And then we're just going to slip stitch to secure, so just yarn over and pull through everything. So you should have just slip stitched into here. So now we're going to work all the way around the armhole, and we will be working slip stitches. So for our first row, which is our foundation row, we will work 2 slip stitches in the first row and then 1 slip stitch into the next row. To show you what that's going to look like, I'm just going to zoom in here. So we're going to begin with a chain of 1. And then now into this first row, we will work 1 slip stitch. So I'm just going to insert my hook and then just slip stitch. And then now into the next row, which is right here, I will work 2 slip stitches. So I'm going to insert my hook, I'm going to work 1 slip stitch, and then I'm going to go back into that same stitch and work another slip stitch. Just like this. Now into the next row, we're going to do 1 slip stitch. Then into the next one, we will work 2 slip stitches. And then you just want to repeat this coming all the way around, except I'm actually going to stop once I reach this corner because we are going to connect these 2 corners once I reach that side. And now that I have reached the corner of my sweater, I'm now just going to slip stitch into the corner of the back panel. So I'm just going to insert my hook and then just slip stitch these 2 corners together. Then I'm just going to go ahead and turn my work to working on the opposite side, and we're going to do the same thing. So working 2 slip stitches and then a slip stitch, and then I'll see you guys back once I reach the end. And so when you reach the end of your work, we are going to slip stitch into the first stitch to join. So here's the very first stitch that I made. I'm just going to slip stitch to join that row. And now you can just chain 1 and turn your work. So moving on to row 2, this is going to be a very easy row. Into the first stitch, we are going to work back bar our back loop slip stitches all the way around until the end. To work a back bar slip stitch, instead of inserting your hook into those 2 loops as you normally would, we are only going to insert our hook into that back bar or that back loop and then just work a regular slip stitch. And then just keep on working this all the way around. And then once you finish working those back bar slip stitch all the way around your armhole, the same thing that we did for row 1, we're just going to slip stitch into this first stitch to join. And then just chain 1 and turn. So now you just want to go ahead and repeat row 2 with those back bar slip stitches until you have a total of 5 rows. So I'm going to go off camera, work up 3 more rows, and then I'll see you guys back once I am all done. So this is what your armhole should look like after 5 back bar slip stitch rows. And now that we are done with our slip stitch rows, we're now going to begin on working at the main sleeve portion. And to begin on this, we're going to do a chain of 70. However, you can make your sleeve however long you would like, so you can do any kind of number of chains, but I'm just going to do a full length sleeve, so I'll do a chain of 70. So after you completed this chain of 70, beginning on row 1, we are going to skip this first chain and inserting our hook into the second chain. We will work 8 slip stitches. And then once you have finished working these slip stitches, this is going to be our cuff at the end of our sleeves. But after these slip stitches, we're now just going to work regular half double crochets until we have reached the end of our chain. So I have just worked all the way down my row. This is where we did those 8 slip stitches, and then these are my half double crochets. So when you have this last chain at the end of your row, we're actually going to be doing an increase. So to do an increase into this last chain, we are just going to work 2 half double crochets. So I'm just going to insert my hook, work 1 half double crochet, and then into the same stitch I will work a second half double crochet, and that is our increase. So now that we have officially made it to the end of our row, we're now going to slip stitch up 2 stitches on the side to join. So this is the first unworked stitch. I'm going to slip stitch up 1, then slip stitch up 2, and then that should just join our row. Now we're going to turn our work. And by the way, those 2 slip stitches up the side, those basically act as our 2 turning chains, so they actually don't count as a stitch for the rest of the pattern. But moving on to row 2, we will skip these first 2 turning chains and we will insert our hook into this first stitch, and we will work 2 back bar or back loop half double crochets. So we're basically going to be doing another increase. So into this first stitch, I'll work an increase, just like this. And then now we're just going to work regular back bar half double crochets until you have 8 stitches at the end of your row remaining. So I'll go quickly work that up, and then I'll see you guys back once I reach the end. Now after you have 8 stitches at the end of your sleeve, we're just going to work a back bar or back loop slip stitches until the end of your row. Then we can just go ahead, chain 1 and turn. Now starting on row 3, we're into this first stitch, we will work 8 back bar slip stitches. Once you have finished these 8 slip stitches, or back bar slip stitches I mean, we're now going to work back bar half double crochets until you have 1 stitch at the end of your row remaining. So now with one stitch at the end of my row, I went all the way down my row. We're going to do another increase into the very last stitch of our row, so a back bar increase right here. And then this time, instead of slip stitching up 2 to join our row, we're actually going to slip stitch up 3. And once again, these just kind of act as our turning chain, so they don't actually count as a stitch. Then I'm just going to turn my work around. And so moving on to row 4, we're going to skip those 3 turning chains, and inserting our hook into the first stitch, we will work another back bar increase. Then from here, we're just going to work back bar half double crochets until you have 8 stitches at the end of your row remaining. And now into those last 8 stitches, we're going to do the same thing that we have been doing. We're going to do those back bar slip stitches until the end of our row, and then just chain 1 and turn. Now we're going to be moving on to row 5, and we're going to begin with 8 back bar slip stitches. And then as usual, we are going to work back bar half double crochets until we have 1 stitch at the end of our row. Into that last stitch of our row, we are going to do another back bar half double crochet increase. And then for this row, we are going to slip stitch up 2 stitches on the side to join. And now to continue this pattern for our sleeve, you want to repeat those last 4 rows that we worked. So that's going to be row 2 to row 5, and you want to do that until you've worked halfway up your armhole. So we're going to work all the way up here until we have reached basically this very top stitch. That's going to be the halfway mark. And then I'm going to show you guys what we're going to do for the rest of the sleeve. I'm going to go ahead and repeat alternating row 2 to row 5, and then I'm going to see you guys back to continue. So this is what your sleeve should be looking like after you have worked into half of the armhole with those increases. So what the bottom of my sleeve looks like so far. And now to continue with the other half of our sleeve, we're going to continue doing the same exact thing, so repeating row 2 to row 5, the same exact thing we were doing. The only difference is that instead of doing those increases, we are actually going to do decreases instead. So just to show you what that's going to look like, I'm just going to do my usual chain 1 and turn my work. And now just beginning into this first stitch, I'll work those 8 back bar slip stitches and then half double crochets. And I'm going to do that until I reach the end, and then I will show you guys how to do those back bar half double crochet decreases. And now that I have made it down my row, I am almost at the end. I just have 2 stitches remaining, and to these last 2 stitches we'll do a back bar half double crochet decrease. To do that, I'm just going to yarn over, insert my hook into that back bar, pull up a loop. You should have 3 loops on your hook. Then we're going to yarn over again, insert our hook into that very last stitch or that next stitch. Then yarn over, pull up a loop. You should have 5 loops on your hook. Then you can just yarn over and pull through all 5 loops just like this. And that is how we're going to be doing our decreases for the rest of the pattern. Now I'm just going to finish up this row by slip stitching up 2 and then turning my work. And moving on to that next row, we're going to do another decrease. So just to show you what this looks like again, yarn over, insert your hook into that first stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over again, insert your hook into that next stitch, pull up a loop, and then yarn over, pull through all 5 loops just like this. And as I previously mentioned, you just want to repeat row 2 to row 5, just except working those decreases instead of those increases until you have finished the other half of your sleeve. So I'm going to go ahead and finish the other half of my sleeve, and then I'm going to see you guys back to seam it all up. So I have now finished up working those decreases coming all the way down my sleeve, and this is what my work looks like so far. And now that we have cut and fastened off once we reach the end, we're now just going to seam together our sleeve just to finish. So over here I have a tapestry needle and the long tail of my sleeve, and we're just going to whip stitch all the way down until we reach the end. To whip stitch, I'm simply going to insert my hook or my needle into the 2 back loops of the sleeve and then just pull straight through. Doing this again, I'm going to insert my hook into the 2 back loops or those back bars and just pull it straight through. And then just keep on doing this all the way down your work, and then I'll see you guys back once I reach the end. Okay guys, so I just finished up seaming my sleeve, and this is what it is looking like. And so once you have finished one sleeve, of course you want to repeat this process on the opposite side, which I have already done. Now that we have both of our sleeves, we're going to move on to the last step of our project, which is going to be working the collar around here. So let's go ahead and get started. So moving on with our collar, and that's the last section of our sweater, I'm going to first make a slip knot as you normally would. Then I'm going to insert my hook anywhere along the edge of our head hole. So I'm just going to insert my hook, let's say right in the back. And then just slip stitch to secure, so yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. Now beginning on row 1, I'm just going to chain, and we're going to be working the same thing that we did for the sleeves. So we're going to do 1 slip stitch into one row and then 2 slip stitches into the next row. Since I've already showed that on camera, I'm going to go all the way around this edge, and then I'll see you guys back once I reach the end. And now I just finished working that foundation row of slip stitches coming all the way around, and I did slip stitch into that first stitch to join this row. Now from here we are going to do a chain of 9. And once you have finished your chain of 9, beginning into the second chain from your hook, we are going to work slip stitches into each chain across. And once you have finished working these slip stitches, to join each row, we are going to slip stitch up 2 stitches on the side. So if this is my first unworked stitch, I'm going to slip stitch up 1, and then up 2 into this next stitch, and then just turn my work around. And those 2 slip stitches up the side do not count as our first stitches. So moving on to row 2, into this first stitch we will work back bar our back loop slip stitches into each stitch across. And then you can just go ahead and chain 1 and turn. With row 3, beginning into this first stitch, we will work back bar slip stitches in each stitch across. And when you reach the end of this row, we're going to do the same thing that we did for row 1. You just want to go ahead and slip stitch up 2 stitches on the side to join. Then you can just turn your work. So now to continue this pattern for our collar, all you want to do is just repeat row 2 and row 3, working all the way around until you have reached the end of your work. Since that is pretty simple and I basically kind of already showed this on camera, I'm going to quickly work this up and then I'll see you guys back to continue. So this is what my collar is looking like after I have finished alternating row 2 and row 3 all the way around the head hole. Once I reached the end, I did go ahead and just whip stitch together those 2 little edges, and that is basically the end of our sweater. The last thing you would need to do is just weave in all of your loose ends to finish. But that is the end of the tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed and found it helpful, and I hope to see you guys back next time. Bye! If you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. If you bought this pattern, it would be super helpful to leave a positive review. But that's all, guys. Bye!